Hi, and welcome to my demonstration of the paper prototype proposal for some usability tests of the Silk Road game that we've been working on the Ludic Contexts course. First of all, let me explain how this prototype is supposed to work. As I wrote on the home assignment, the paper prototype comprises two screenshots. One of them is already present on your screen, and we'll be using the other in a short time soon. There are few moving or interchangeable parts that simulate the player's character itself and all the graphical elements that pop up during a game session. The game uses a third-person point of view. Nonetheless, due to the intrinsic limitations of a paper prototype, I'm not taking that in consideration. The player moves his character either by pressing the arrow keys on the keyboard, or he can also click where he wants to go. The game interface is based on objects. So this means that in order to perform some action which is done over an object or a character, the user simply has to click on it, so the object or the character, in order to gain access to all of the available actions. Those actions depend on the object or character clicked. In order to easily tell which objects and characters allow the player to interact with, the game displays a small triangle above the object or character. In this particular scene, the player is allowed to perform some actions on the woman shown here. So, the triangle would come up above her head, and now, as we identify her as someone with which we can interact, I can now click on her. As soon as I click on her, the available options pop up. In this case, will just be a talk to action. If I select the talk to action, I now have access to a set of callouts that represent the available sentences that I can use in order to talk with this character. Now that I discussed how we interact with characters, I will now move to another scene. In this particular scene, there are two different objects available for interaction. Now we'll discuss how the user can interact with objects on a scene. There's a horse and there's food on the merchant stand. In the real thing, there were supposed to exist two triangles, one above the horse and one above the food on the stand. But for demonstration's sake, I'm going to use only the horse in this case. So now I know that the horse is a clickable element, or an element with interaction available. So I click on the horse and I have now access to the steal and buy actions. The buy action should also have how much money is necessary in order to buy the object. So for demonstration purposes we cannot see that number, but it's supposed to have a number right next to the buy word. So if I buy or steal the horse now belongs to my inventory. So as soon as I click on one of these options, the horse is supposed to show on the right area of the screen. This right area of the screen is the inventory of the player. So every object that the user collects during his game session will appear on this right side. And the interaction with those inventory objects is done exactly the same as for any other object on the screen. The user simply has to click on AMP in order to have access to all of his actions. For instance, if I have in here the letter that our hero starts with. So if I want to use that letter or gain access to all of its actions, all I have to do is click on it and I'll have access to the look at and use actions. And now if, for instance, if I wanted to read the letter, I would just need to click on the look at option in order to see the letter on the screen. And this is my demonstration of my paper prototype. I hope this will help you to understand how I feel the user interface should be and how can we interact with the elements of the game.